Hello and welcome to this month's monthly mission, which is all about record retention. It is springtime where we live, and so we are so excited to be ready to do record retention. Now, if you would like this monthly mission delivered to your inbox, you can go over to our website and click on this icon, give us your name and email, and our monthly mission in detail will come to your inbox, and we'll be happy to have you join us. So as I said, it is spring, so we are ready to clean. This is one of my favorite times of year. I love to clean, and this is wonderful because I like to get rid of stuff too. So I'm going to share my methods for record retention in this month's mission. If you'd like a little more detail, you can also go to our website and the blog post has more information. The first thing to know is that I'm a simple person and I like simple systems. So although you can add a lot of complexity to record retention policies, I'm giving you my very simple version. There are rules for 3 years, except for 7 years, except for, but if it's a job, it's 10 years. And so I'm just giving you my version. I encourage you to come up with your own version and make your record retention policy the one that you can live with and that helps you sleep at night. Okay, here are the steps that I go through. So the first thing I do is I sort. And I'm sorting into two major categories, which is an over 10-year category and an under 10-year category. And I'll make a little more sense here in just a minute, but I first start with this. Once I have my 10-year category, I decide whether this is something that needs to go away. So I don't need to keep it because it's not a permanent record, or I do need to keep it, it is a permanent record. At this point, I've got a pile that I need to keep for permanent, and I can start by putting those in boxes, marking it permanent, and kind of getting them off to the side. If it's a discard, I like to use a shredding service. So I actually call a shredding service and say, hey, how can we work together? Because I got all this paper for you. I like to use a shredding service because they can keep any confidential information protected, and I don't have to worry about one more thing. The next thing I do is I take everything that was under 10 years and not in discard and not in permanent, and I sort it into two categories. Now there are other categories besides a 7 and a 10-year category, but I'm simple and I don't want to have to decide any more categories than this or sort any file folders into more divisions. So I just pick 7 and 10. Now the reason I pick 7 and 10 is because 10 is in our world a indicator for job litigation. So if you have a job you want to keep job information, job contract, job costing, I keep for 10 years. So if I have anything related to a job, it goes in my 10-year pile. If it's something other than job, I put it in my 7-year pile. At this point, I start then getting those boxes organized into that 7-year or 10-year. Now, I put them into banker boxes and I clearly mark on the outside the date of destruction. Now, this is key because a lot of times you'll put the date of what's in there, but that doesn't help you remember what to do with it. So I actually put the date. So this is 2019. I would add 7 years to that, and that's the date that's going on the outside of my box. 10 years as well for the 10-year box. Then I store them either by what's in it or by the date of destruction. Another thing is I actually keep my permanent records in a separate location so they don't get mixed in with the stuff that I'm going to discard. And that can just be a portion of the room or, maybe just a top shelf or something like that. I'll tell you the hardest part for me has been electronic records. I'm old enough to remember the fax machine being a big deal, so the electronic records can really overwhelm me. Many of the things that we have electronically, we also have in paper format or vice versa. And so you really are left with, how are we going to maintain a system? The way I like to keep an electronic system, at least if we have a file tree, is I like everything sorted by year and then within the year sorted by the year and the month. This way, whenever I get to my 7 years, I just go and I can just delete the folder with that year on it that I'm trying to discard, my 7 or 10. I can also keep a permanent record electronically, just like we do in a box format. Many of our items are stored now in our accounting software, so we may or may not have the type of options on record retention within embedded software pieces. Now, you know what? Life is short. you don't have to get crazy with it. You just have to make some decisions on what you're okay with. And whenever it's electronic, it's easy to keep things a little longer. I would say, you have to keep the same kind of record retention, even electronically. Now, if you can't because it's embedded in a software, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You've got a plan. But if it is something you can control, then come up with your best system. So this redundancy is something that I know for me is hard because I think, well, but I have this piece of paper and I also have it electronically. What do I do? Well, I'm going to say it's probably up to you. If you want to keep both of them, it doesn't really hurt anything. And if you go, oh, I can't handle it, I can't handle having duplicates, then you can get rid of, most likely, your paper copy. Now me, I just keep it because it's easier. I just there's my destruction date, I'm moving on. But you can make your own decisions. So it's your turn to do your housekeeping around your office, to start by setting your own record retention policy. And I know this is a great time of year to do it and helps you really get ready for the rest of your year. If you'd like a detailed record retention policy and you are a member, you can log into our All Access and go to our record retention policy and get that detailed version. You can make your own. If you'd like to become a member, go on over to our website and click on the icon. Thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure, and I'll talk to you soon.